Maintenance and repair shops are a critical part of any agricultural operation. The professionalism of everyone working in a shop is of utmost importance, as well as the quality of the work being performed. The shop is a busy place. There's always something to do. A very important part of the job is safety. Safety for the persons working in the shop area, as well as visitors to the shop, and of course the people who operate the equipment. In this short program, we'd like to review some of the basics of shop safety to improve your awareness of these safety responsibilities. First of all, safety is your responsibility. All the equipment, safety rules, and standards won't prevent injuries. Only you can do that. An unsafe attitude will not be tolerated, along with horseplay and a general disregard for safety rules and procedures. The first safety rule is to remember, don't use any tool or equipment unless you have been trained to use them properly. Next, make sure you follow safe work procedures or safety posters. Finally, don't use defective tools and equipment. Maintain tools. Hand tools, such as socket wrenches, become worn after they've been used for a period of time. When you notice a socket with worn edges, that's the time to replace it. Screwdrivers, crescent wrenches, pliers, hammers, all these and other tools must be maintained in a serviceable condition at all times. Equipment such as hydraulic jacks, air wrenches and sockets, grinders, workbench vices, these too must be properly maintained. Also, proper storage and organization of all tools prolongs tool life. Return all tools to their storage location after each use. Electric equipment is of particular importance in the shop, and electrical safety is critical as there is the potential of electrical shock if electrical equipment isn't properly maintained and used. Of course, you know that electricity and water don't mix, but how often do you think about other liquids such as grease, oil, solvents, and other liquids? Operating an electrical drill with wet, sweaty hands is also an increased potential for electrical shock. The basics of electrical safety begins with inspecting the equipment before you use it. Check the cords and plugs. If the outside insulation is cut, frayed, or damaged, the cord should be replaced. You can't wrap electrical tape around a damaged cord and think it's properly repaired. Replace frayed, cut, or damaged electrical cords. Inspect the electrical tool's plug. If your electrical tool states it's double insulated on the manufacturer's tag, this means there is insulation on the inside of the tool to protect you from shock hazard, and this type of tool will only have a two-prong plug. If the tool doesn't state double insulated, then you must have a third prong on the plug. This third prong is your safety device in the event of a short or malfunction. The third prong or ground prong plugs your tool into ground or earth, so in the event of a malfunction, the electricity will go through this ground prong to earth and bypass your body. If the prong is broken off, you have no protection, and in the event of a short or malfunction, all the electricity will go through your body. The best advice is to inspect all electrical equipment before you use it, and make sure all the cords, plugs, and other parts are in good condition. Never use electrical tools or equipment in wet or damp areas, and make sure your hands are dry when using electrical tools. Other very useful equipment in the shop area are grinders. A damaged or clogged grinding wheel can explode and cause injuries. Always treat the grinding wheel with respect, so make sure the wheel is properly installed according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Make sure the grinder is securely mounted to a stationary base to prevent movement. When using the grinding wheel, it has a tendency to decrease in size as the abrasive wears down. You must keep the wheel no further than 1/8 of an inch from the tool rest at all times. Never grind aluminum, wood, or other soft metals on your shop grinders. The wheel guard must always be in place during use, and make sure the equipment is in serviceable condition, including the electrical components of the grinder. Wear safety glasses and a face shield when grinding. Any tool or machine such as grinders, drill presses, air compressors, anything that has gears or pulleys must be guarded. Always treat an unguarded machine as inoperative. One of the most important parts of any type of machinery maintenance is making sure the equipment won't move while it's being worked on. We call it lockout, blockout, and tagout. It simply means that all hazardous energy sources such as electricity, hydraulics, gravity, springs, and other potentially hazardous energy sources must be locked out or blocked out and tagged before any maintenance is performed. If you're working on an electrical machine, you want to lock out the electrical source so the machinery can't be turned on while someone is working on the machine. Electricity isn't the only source. It could be a hydraulic system that could fail, so you need to lock out or block out that potential hazard. It's like working on a steam line. You want that valve locked out and tagged so someone won't turn the valve while it's being worked on. There must be only one key to the lock, which must be kept on the person performing the maintenance or repair. When working on vehicles or equipment, you've properly secured the vehicle and any part that could move unexpectedly. Jacking up a vehicle with a hydraulic jack is only 50% of the job. You must always install jack stands under the vehicle in the event the hydraulic jack loses pressure. The same rules apply to air jacks. Never rely upon an air or hydraulic jack. Use jack stands. Maintenance professionals work with grease, oil, and solvent on a regular basis. That's the nature of your job. But to prevent damage to your skin, wash your hands frequently, and if you're using solvent or other similar liquids, use rubber gloves to protect your hands and skin. If you protect yourself, you'll be more productive and certainly much safer. Gasoline and other flammable liquids must be handled with extreme care. Always follow your company's and manufacturer's recommendation for using, handling, storing, and disposing of these materials. All hazardous materials must be properly labeled, and the safety procedures for using, handling, storing, and disposing of these materials must be observed. Never mix any liquids without proper authorization. When you combine different chemicals, you might end up with a mixture you didn't intend to create, and it could be extremely hazardous. Use proper containers for all chemicals. Greasy rags must be stored in a metal container with a lid. This reduces the possibility of spontaneous combustion of the oily rags and the creation of combustion, which usually results in a fire. While we're on flammable liquids, keep in mind that you should never use unauthorized electrical appliances around or near flammables. Fans, electric motors, radios, and other electrical equipment create sparks and can easily cause flammable mixtures to explode. Unauthorized trouble lights near a flammable liquid can create a spark or flame and can cause the flammable liquid to explode. Many broken trouble lights near flammables have caused fires and explosions. Use only authorized electrical equipment in shop areas. Naturally, when you're welding or cutting, there are a number of things you need to know to make it a safe job. Begin with proper handling of gas and oxygen cylinders. They must be chained to a wall or welding cart. When the cylinders are not attached to regulators, the caps must be placed securely on the gas cylinders. Never store gas and oxygen cylinders together. They must be stored separately. Any type of welding and cutting requires caution. Make sure you use protective curtains and screens to prevent flash burns to others in the area. Also, be sure there are no combustibles nearby because sparks and slag can fly up to 35 feet from the welding cutting zones. Experienced welders know the proper procedures, but let's quickly review some safety tips to remember. When lighting your welding or cutting torch, the first step is to purge the hose. Open the valve on the acetylene cylinder, but it should never be turned more than 1.5 turns. 3/4 of a turn is recommended. Open the acetylene torch valve 1/4 turn. Adjust the acetylene to working pressure, which is less than 15 psi gauge or 30 pounds absolute. Close the acetylene torch valve. Next, slowly open the oxygen cylinder valve all the way. Open the oxygen torch valve 1/2 turn. Adjust the oxygen to working pressure with the gas regulator screw. Turn off the oxygen torch valve. And never use matches to ignite the flame. Use a friction lighter to light the blowpipe. Experienced welders understand the term cracking a cylinder. It's simply opening the cylinder valve slightly and then closing it to remove any potential dust or debris inside the valve. Cracking the cylinder should be accomplished before installing regulators. When you leave the welding area, never leave pressure in the hoses. Shut off the oxygen and acetylene at the cylinder. There's much more to safety in welding, but these short reminders point out the care and caution you should take when welding or cutting safely. Air compressors are a vital part of your shop equipment. Make sure the compressor is inspected on a regular basis. It has the proper permit, and the V-belts and pulley has a fully enclosed guard. Never point or shoot compressed air at anyone. And make sure you wear eye protection when using compressed air. Wiping up spills brings up another important aspect of safety: housekeeping. Keep your work area clean. If you spill something, wipe it up. Grease, oil, solvent, spare parts, wires, tools on the floor, all these add up to accidents. Good housekeeping is one of the most important parts of your everyday responsibilities. It makes good sense, it makes a more productive work area, and it's much safer. So far, we've concentrated on equipment, but right now, let's review some more tips on individual safety, and that brings us to personal protective equipment. For protective equipment to do its job, it must be stored and maintained properly. Keep dust masks and safety glasses in clean and dust-free places. Let's take a few seconds to discuss eye protection. Contact lenses in an industrial environment are not recommended. Dust, fumes, mists, and other common hazards in the workplace create an environment to make contact lenses unsafe to wear. When you're required to wear safety glasses, they must be worn. Safety glasses are worn to protect your irreplaceable eyes. Safety glasses with side shields, goggles to prevent chemical splashes, and full face shields are important prevention techniques to protect your eyes. It's not worth it to not wear eye protection when it's required. There are so many potential eye injuries, it's a good habit to wear safety glasses all the time. Hand protection comes in many forms, such as different types of gloves. Gloves protect the hands from rough or sharp parts, but rubber gloves can protect your skin from chemicals, solvents, and other hazardous materials. However, never wear gloves when operating moving equipment, when there is a possibility that the gloves can be pulled into the machinery. If you work in an area where major foot hazards are present, steel-toed safety shoes with non-slip, oil-resistant soles should be worn. Where the hazard is minimum, you should wear leather-top shoes, no tennis or canvas shoes. Leather-top shoes afford basic protection from oil, grease, solvents, and other chemicals, as well as minor abrasions and cuts. Loud noise can damage your hearing. Wear hearing protection where required. To protect your health when spray painting or using toxic fumes, gases, or other potentially hazardous vapors, wear the appropriate respiratory equipment. A dust mask, such as this, only prevents large chunks of dust from entering your mouth. It does not protect from any type of chemical. If this type of equipment is required, you'll have proper training and receive instructions on how to use it properly. Don't use respiratory equipment until you've been properly trained. We don't think that fire extinguishers are personal protection because you don't wear them, but in reality, you could classify them as protection. Take the time to think where the extinguishers are located. Know where all the exits are, and whether these exits are blocked. Also, take the time to learn the type of fire extinguishers that are located in the shop. This is important because some fire extinguishers cannot be used on an electrical fire as opposed to a flammable liquid or wood and paper fire. In case of an emergency, you need to get out fast and don't want the exits blocked. Okay, let's quickly review how to use fire extinguishers. Think of the word pass. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. After you pick up the fire extinguisher, go to the fire, pull the pin. Aim the nozzle at the base of the flame, but stay about 10 feet from the flame. If you're too close to the flame and you discharge the extinguisher, you could spread the flame. The first S in pass means squeeze the handle. This expels the extinguishing agent. The last S in pass means sweep the nozzle from side to side, covering the entire base of the flame. Pass. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side. The most important thing about extinguishing fires is that life safety is of paramount importance. Never risk your life to put out a fire. On any type of fire, even small ones, call the fire department. You can never tell when a small fire will get out of hand and become a major blaze. Always call the fire department. First aid supplies and equipment are readily available in the work areas. However, the most important thing is to always notify your supervisor of any minor injuries. We want to make sure that you receive proper medical attention for on-the-job injuries, so always report any type of injuries or illnesses when they occur. If you have a chance to receive first aid training, then do so. It's everyone's responsibility. That's about it. If you see a potential hazard or problem, report it to your supervisor so it can be corrected. If you do experience an injury, no matter how small, report it. Small cuts or minor injuries can become major medical problems if first aid treatment isn't provided when needed. Follow your company's safety policies and procedures. If you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. If you haven't been properly trained, don't operate any type of equipment until you've been properly trained and authorized to use that equipment by your supervisor. Safety is really nothing more than having a good safety attitude, following the rules, and of course, thinking about safety on every job you perform. Safety won't slow you down. It'll make you a more productive and professional individual. Take time for safety, because it really does make a difference. Thank you.